Hey guys, it's Zoe, and today I'm going to be doing my September wrap-up. So September wasn't the greatest reading month for me. I'm happy with the amount of books that I read, but it's not nearly the amount that I wanted to read. I'm in a very weird spot with my reading lately. Hi, sweet boy. So I ended up reading 5 full books and getting about halfway through a 6th one. Only one of them was 5 stars. The one that I got halfway through is definitely gonna be 5 stars. I know that for sure. But it was a very average reading month otherwise, with regards to ratings, not the amount of books that I read. So without further ado, let's get into my September wrap up. So the first book that I finished in September, I actually don't know where it is right now. It's somewhere, but I don't have the patience or the energy to go look for it. It was The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. So if you were unaware, I read the Percy Jackson series for the very first time at 25 years old. I figured it was time. Enough people have told me to go read it, and it's a booktube staple. So I figured, why the hell not? Let's try it. And I vlogged the whole experience. I will leave that video linked down below. My ratings changed from what was in that video. I think I want to sit down and do like a whole series review. Let me know down below in the comments if you would watch that or if I would just be wasting my time. But the 5th one, I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It was good. It wasn't great. I finished it at the beginning of September. It's the beginning of October and I already have forgotten most of what happened in the entire series, especially in the 5th book. I read the first 4 books very quickly and then it took me about 2 weeks to read the 5th one. I lost interest. Every time I tried to go and listen to the audiobook, I would kind of fall asleep. Nothing really stood out to me as being super special. The pacing was weird for me, and I know it's middle grade and middle grade pacing is very different, but I tend to enjoy adult fantasy more than anything. YA fantasy lately has been iffy for me, which I will get to later, but it was good. Personally, I don't see the hype around it. I don't understand why there's so much hype. Maybe if I had read them when I was younger, I would understand, but for me, it was just very average. So yeah, that was the first book. I honestly don't remember what order this was in, except for that one, so let's go back. Oh, okay, yes. Beep, beep. Oh, fanfiction email. The next book that I read, I was super excited about this. I heard the author speak about this book at BookCon. I got an arc of it. It kind of let me down. This one was There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but it still let me down. There's a chance that it's actually more of a 3 or 3.5, but I'll revisit another time. It was good. I was very confused for the first 100 or so pages. I didn't know what the hell was going on. There were a lot of names and terms that were just thrown in there and not really explained. The world building wasn't the best. I didn't really connect with the characters. The storyline was great. From what I remember, there wasn't an actual romance that took over the plot, which is a huge problem I have with YA fantasy lately, because they just have to have a romance that takes over the plot and it's not a good romance. This didn't have it though. What else did my review say? That was the other thing. I just had to read my review again so I could refresh. It was pretty predictable. It didn't super take away from my enjoyment, but it was predictable. There is a sequel. I don't know if it's going to be a duology, a trilogy, whatever the hell it's gonna be, but I am looking forward to reading the next one. This is a debut, so I always give, you know, a little bit of leeway for debuts where sometimes you haven't really found your stride, you haven't really found exactly what works for you in your writing, so I'm a little bit more generous with debuts. It wasn't a bad book, but it wasn't everything that I was expecting. And I think part of that was because I had listened to the author talk about it and it's her baby. So my expectations were a lot higher than I think they would have been if I had just heard about the book from booktube or book Twitter or just saw it in the bookstore and based on the synopsis alone. But I do recommend it. It was a pretty solid fantasy, again, because the whole lack of romance just sucking the life out of this fucking book. That being said, the next book that I read fell into that trap. Oh boy, this will probably... Yes, Bubsy? What's going on? Come see Mom. He was just being needy. Back to what I was saying. This will probably end up on my most disappointing of 2019 list. That being said, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, but it was not what I was expecting. This one, unfortunately, oh, this hurts me so much, was Kingdom of Souls by Raina Barron. Sweet boy. Hi, baby. Where do I start? The romance. It set it up for a love triangle in the next books, however many there are going to be, which we all know I can't fucking stand because it's going to be a love V, not a love triangle. This glare is ridiculous. The ever dreaded love V. The world building was pretty good. The characters were pretty good. I connected somewhat. The main character had a tendency to piss me off. I don't want to get too specific, so don't spoil anything, but there's a scene with this rite of passage with the love interest, and he said it before that it makes him uncomfortable and he doesn't like it, but his father's making him do it, and she's all like, no, you know what? I don't give a fuck what you say. You're enjoying it, and I'm gonna be upset with you for going through with this. And it's like, I get it that you're a teenager, but maybe listen to people when they say, I'm not comfortable, and then don't throw it in their face and say, you're lying to me. You actually really are. That happened multiple times. I can't. And it seemed so promising for like first half of the book, but then she just kept waxing poetic about his deep dark eyes and the deep timbre of his voice, and it's like, we get it, you wanna fucking smash. Great! Maybe let's focus on the world ending instead of how hot you think this guy is. It would go on and on for way too long, paragraphs of just how in love she was. And again, this was a debut. However, it fell into that trap of the romance just being the most important, and I wasn't expecting that. And I was sent this book. I was sent the Kingdom of Souls box as a black booktuber, and I was so excited. It was the first time I'd ever received anything like this, and I was so let down. So let down. Again, it wasn't a bad book by any means, but it was not what I was expecting. It was not what we were promised in a sense. It wasn't what it was supposed to be because the romance. Some things, like the last one, were very predictable, but there were quite a few things that surprised me. I am going to be reading the next one. If you've been around on my channel, you know that I will never not read the next one unless I just forget about it because I'm nosy and I want to know how it ends, and I want to know if, you know, she straightens her head out a little bit, and I want to know if it's not going to be as disappointing as this one. I'm still very salty thinking about it. The last one, I thought was going to be 5 stars. This one, thought it was going to be 5 stars. And that irks me, just the tiniest bit. After that, I read another book that I was sent by Macmillan. A little bit annoyed with some of this, but this one was A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars again. I went into this with the lowest of low expectations because one of my good friends, Jay from The Awkward Bookworm, I'll leave her channel link down below, did not enjoy it. I know she hated it, and I went in with such low expectations, not expecting anything, because I remember when this book first came out, and the main read this book was that it was a black Alice in Wonderland. Great. What the fuck is so special about that? A black Alice in Wonderland. Who cares? What's the actual story about? What is it about this book that's going to draw me in over another Alice in Wonderland retelling? If the only leg you have to stand on is that the main character is black, I don't care. And I say this as somebody who's half black. That's not enough for me to be like, yeah, let's read it. I like the synopsis, so when they reached out to me, I was like, you know what? Sure. And they wanted to send me the second book, which came out on September 24th to review as well, which is where the annoyance starts to come in. They contacted me September 20th, maybe around then, and I didn't receive the book until September 23rd. Couldn't start it that night, started it the next day when I finished this and I went to go get the second book on NetGalley. The title was gone because it had already been released. So I wasn't able to read and review the second one before it came out because this didn't get to me in time because they reached out to me way too late. But whatever, it is what it is. There was a bit of a love V happening in this one too. When are we ever going to get the fuck away from having a love V? When? What is the purpose? Give me a real love triangle. Just do it. You know what? Even better, give me a polyamorous relationship. Give me a triad. Why not? I'm gonna stick to fan fiction for that for now because nobody's doing it. But again, kept going on and on about love interest, and it did start to take away from the story between love interest 1 and semi-love interest 2, where she was like, yeah, maybe, and then like, maybe, but maybe not. It was funny. The book was actually pretty funny. I laughed out loud a couple times, especially when I was listening to the audiobook. I did like the narrator. I remember being in the grocery store and there's something where one of the other characters said something to the main character and she was like, sure, Jan. And I had forgotten about the whole sure, Jan business. And I cracked up and people looked at me funny. Sadly, the humor was not enough to save this from being just a very average book. Like with the other ones, I will be reading the second one for the previously stated reasons. Also, it kind of ended on a cliffhanger, and I'm curious. I am curious, but it just wasn't anything special. And I think the reason that I liked it more than I maybe would have is because I went in with such low expectations. If I didn't see all of the average to semi-negative reviews about this book, I think I would have been in the same boat. I think it would have been maybe 3 stars, maybe 2.5. But there's something to be said for low expectations. And then I read a 5-star book, and it saved the whole month for me. I read this on September 28th. I read this in, I think, a day. I've been meaning to read this for a long time. I forgot that I had it because I'm just an idiot, but I finally got around to A Prince on Paper by Alyssa Cole. This is the 3rd book in the Reluctant Royal series. They are companions, not really like direct sequels, but the book makes more sense if you read the first 2 first, and you won't be quite as lost as you could be reading just this one. So, 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Every once in a while, after reading some semi-disappointing books or just reading too many fantasy books in a row, I need romance. I need adult romance. I need the characters to just be happy and smash, and I need a happy ending. Mom, I know exactly what you're thinking. That's disgusting. Not like that. I need the characters to have a happily ever after. Thank you very much. So it follows Naya and, what the hell was his name? Oh, and Prince Johan, who we are introduced to in the first 2 books. I think Johan may be more in the second, but they are characters who are in the lives of the characters from the first 2 books, and it follows their love story. It goes back and forth between a European country and an African country, neither of which are actually real countries, and it ties the other characters in from the first 2 books so well, but it puts these ones front and center. It gives them... Sir! He's playing with Draco Malfoy's wand. Oh my god, beautiful. He knows. He knows his namesake. Anyways, yeah, it gives them space to grow as their own people without just focusing so much on the other 2 characters. I thought the first one would be my favorite, and then I read the second one and I was like, maybe that one's my favorite, and then I read this one and I'm like, fuck me, I don't know. They're all my favorite, but this one might be my favorite. I don't know. They just get better and better. The main thing... Like, yes, the romance was amazing. The characters were amazing. I loved everything about it, but the big thing that stuck out to me was Johan is bi, a male bi character who's not ashamed of it, and it's not a self-discovery sort of thing. It's like, hey, I am who I am. Fantastic. A man who's secure in himself. What a concept. And then I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there is a character who comes out as non-binary. And as soon as the character decides that they feel comfortable telling other people that they want to use they them pronouns, there is an instant fucking switch in the book. You don't see the old pronouns anymore. All you see are they them, and it's fantastic. It needs to be normalized in romance, in fiction in general, in real fucking life. It's amazing. I myself am not non-binary. That was very difficult to say. I don't know why, but I have a lot of friends who are, and seeing that and seeing it accepted so easily in fiction, it helps real life people see that, you know what, maybe it is normal. Of course it's fucking normal, don't be an asshole. Anyways, tangent aside, the character is accepted, the character is loved. It's not something where they have people telling them all the time, like, you know what, maybe you're wrong about yourself. Like, no, it's just cool. That's who you are. Thanks for being comfortable enough with me to tell me who you actually are. I'm very proud of you. I love you. No matter what your identity is, no matter who you are, I love you. And it's like, ooh! Tears may or may not have been shed. They definitely were shed. I'm just... ridiculous. It's fine. Now I need to go and read everything else this woman has written because I am obsessed with this series. I just totally blanked right there. I looked at a giraffe and I totally blanked. My phone went off. Who was it? Curtis. Hi. And then the book that I got halfway through, it's upstairs and I forgot to bring it down here, is Dark Dawn by J. Kristoff, the 3rd book in the Nevernight Chronicle. I'm not going to talk about it too much here because I'm going to talk about it more in my October wrap-up, but it's going to be 5 out of 5 stars. At this point, I have less than 100 pages left and I am not fucking ready for it, but it's everything. It's absolutely everything. Oh my god. I've been filming my reactions. I didn't get to film them last night because I was upstairs in bed and the camera was downstairs, but I was not happy. I'm still not happy, but like, I'm so nervous for these last 100 pages. Oh my god. Anyways, that's besides the point right now. I got halfway through, so it's gonna be booted into the October wrap up. Who knows, I might cry that whole video. I might just cry for the rest of the year. I don't know. But that is it for my September wrap up. 5 books, most of them mediocre to disappointing. One of them saved the rest of them. It is what it is. We can't all have perfect reading months every month because that's just not real life. However, I have curated my October TBR to be perfect. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave it linked down below and it'll actually pop up at the end of the video. But that reading month, this reading month, yeah, it's gonna be perfect. What can I say? I set it up that way because it's my birthday month. I have my 1-year wedding anniversary. I have a huge announcement going up. I need to have a good reading month, especially after September was quite shit, if we're being totally honest. Let me know down below in the comments what you read in September and if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Or if that's just too much or you don't have a lot of time, drop some hearts down below, preferably purple ones because that's my favorite color. As always, to stay updated with my current reads and how I'm feeling about them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, all at your book nerd Zoe, which I will leave linked down below in the description box. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and get at least a little bit of uninterrupted reading time. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!